Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Travis.
Well, we did our previews for the NFC North for each team, and today we're doing our predictions for the NFC North, where in this video we'll be giving out predictions for each team's record and how their schedule is going to work out. So, Travis, how do you see this division working out this year?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty loaded division, but one thing I've noticed is that each one of these teams really have tough schedules this year. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But we'll start with the NFC North champs, the Green Bay Packers this year. And I mean, the first 2 weeks, right off the bat, man, they got some tough opponents with Seattle and Atlanta.
Man.
You know, I think recently in the regular season, the Packers have kind of been owning Seattle, especially at Lambeau. I think that's a game that they could win to start off the season. Yep. But then that next week, going to Atlanta with their new stadium, wow, that's going to be a tough game for them.
I think that's going to be a tough one for Green Bay.
Yeah, and then just looking, they got Cincy and Chicago. I think those are two games they can win. And then they got Dallas. And Dallas, Dallas, that playoff game, that was such a good game. They're going to want to get some revenge for that game, so I could see Dallas winning that one. And then they got to play Minnesota at Minnesota.
Those are two tough games back-to-back.
Oh, yeah, that's really hard. I mean, Minnesota's defense is a top 5 defense in my opinion.
They've been giving Aaron Rodgers fits too throughout the last few years as well. So.
Yeah, so I could see them dropping those two games, and then they got New Orleans, which is really a toss-up. I mean, obviously I think it'll be a really high-powered offense between those two teams, but they're playing in Lambeau, so I can see them winning that game. So I got them at 4-3 going into their bye week. And then kind of the second half of this schedule gets a little bit easier. I have, they're playing like teams like Detroit, Baltimore. Pittsburgh's a tough one. I don't see them really beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
No, that's a tough one for Green Bay.
They got Le'Veon Bell, and they're not really that good at stopping the run, so I could see them having struggles with that. They got another tough game right after with Tampa Bay, but that's going to be in Green Bay in the cold in December. So I see them beating Tampa Bay there because they're a warm weather team, and that's where Aaron Rodgers and them thrive. But ultimately, I got the Packers finishing at 12-4 this year. I think last year they had a really good team, and this year they got a little bit better. So I could see them winning the NFC North again.
Yeah, I'm on the same line with you with the Packers. Obviously, I have them going 4-3 until their bye.
Okay.
I think it's similar to you. They're going to beat Seattle at home, I think, because, like we said, they've kind of had Seattle's number in the regular season. But in the playoffs, it's kind of been a different story, obviously. But I think that Atlanta game is going to be tough for them. New stadium, Matt Ryan in that offense. I think their defense is going to be a lot better this year. I see that being a loss for the Packers.
I think that game will be interesting though because obviously with that Super Bowl, they were so close to winning it. So it'll be interesting to see how they start off.
The Falcons do have a chance of being one of those Super Bowl hangover type of teams like the Carolina Panthers were last year.
They're playing them early, so it'll be interesting to see how they react.
But after the bye week, I see them going on a couple winning streaks here and there, and I have them going 11-5, just one game under 12-4. But again, I have them winning the division again because they have the best quarterback in the division, and the way their schedule works out, they have a pretty easy second half in my opinion.
Yeah.
So transitioning, who do you got for the Minnesota Vikings? How do you see them doing this year?
Yeah, well, I have the Vikings going 10-6. I think they can finish in second place in the NFC North. I could see them potentially making the wild card at a 10-6 record. I think last year they started off so good, 5-0. I could kind of see them replicating that this year. I think their first half of their schedule is not so hard. I can actually see them finishing 7-1 going into the bye week. And then kind of like last year, I think they'll kind of cool off a little bit. But I think the key for the Vikings is if they can start off hot, they play tougher opponents in the second half of the season. So they'll kind of have, if they do so well in the beginning, they'll kind of have wiggle room in the second half of the season. And I could see them making the NFC North wild card for the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at their schedule here, I have them going on a 5-game winning streak, in the middle of the season. And again, I have them going 10-6 as well. I have their winning streak starting off against the Bears, and then eventually, not against the Bears, but I have a 5-game winning streak for them coming up in the middle of the season. I kind of agree with you. They kind of have some losses here and there because, again, their offense, I'm not really sure how their offense is going to do with that offensive line and some of the new weapons they have in there. It might take a while for that offense to kind of kick in. But their defense is Super Bowl ready, as we said before in our preview. And I think they can, sneak into a wild card spot here at 10-6, I think.
Yeah, kind of just like looking at their schedule. I mean, in their second half, they got to play at the Redskins right after their bye. That'll be pretty tough.
Yep.
They also got to play in Atlanta and at Carolina 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
So, I mean, that'll be a true test for Minnesota to see, are they a playoff team or are they actual legit Super Bowl contending teams? Because you got to beat the best teams if you want to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, their season starts off pretty tough, too, especially for that defense because they play the Saints, the Steelers, and the Buccaneers in the first 3 games. That's going to test that defense a little bit. I know we've been talking about that defense is so good, but those are 3 high-powered offense they have to contend with those first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think they can, though, just because their defense is that good. So I can see them winning 2 out of those 3 early on.
Yep, I can see that as well. How do you see the Lions shaking up this year?
Yeah, I think I have the Lions at 8-8 this year. I think, last year they had so many fourth quarter comeback wins. I believe they had 8 of them. I just don't. That's not something you can replicate.
No, that's not sustainable, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And they got a pretty tough schedule. I mean, their first 5 weeks, or even first 6 weeks, is all versus possible playoff teams. I mean, that's just crazy. I kind of have them going around 1-6 to be honest. Looking at they got Atlanta, New York, the Vikings, the Panthers, and the Saints.
They have a rough schedule to start off the year.
That is tough.
I have them going 6-10 this year. Not because I think they're a bad team or anything, or they just haven't made enough improvements. I think on the defensive side of the ball to really make a big jump this year. And like we said, they had a bunch of fourth quarter comebacks last year. That's not sustainable. And as good as their offense is going to be, I just don't think that defense is going to be able to keep their weight this year. I think. And I actually have them losing their first 4 games. They played the Cardinals, the Giants, the Falcons, the Vikings. I mean, that's a really tough schedule for them to start off.
I also have them losing their first 4 games. That's really tough.
Yeah, so again, I have them going 6-10, but how do you see the Bears doing, the last team in the division?
Man, I feel bad for the Bears because honestly, I can legit say they got better this year. But man, what a tough schedule they have. I have them going 5-11 this year, which I think it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out. With Trubisky and them, and if they're kind of out of the playoff contention early on, are they going to give Trubisky the reps at the end of the games, at the end of the season? So I think that'll be interesting. But what do you think?
I have them going 7-9 actually, finishing 3rd place in the division.
Ooh,
I have them losing their first 4 games though, to be said, because they have Atlanta, they're at Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and then at Green Bay. So we're talking about 4 teams that might be Super Bowl contenders right there if we're considering Tampa Bay. We're going to do their preview coming up, but I think Tampa Bay's got a chance to really take that next step this year. And that's a rough schedule. They even got games like they have Minnesota, Carolina, they're at New Orleans before their bye. I mean, it's just a rough schedule.
What do you have them at your bye?
At the bye, I believe I have them going 2-6. They're going to lose their first 4 games, and then I have them beating Minnesota at home, and then they're going to go to Baltimore. I think they're going to be able to get a win at Baltimore, I feel like.
Yeah, for me, before the bye, I have them going 1-7 just because it's such a hard schedule. I have their 1 win coming up against Baltimore, but to be honest, Baltimore got better, and that's not going to be an easy win. So, it can, unfortunately for Bears fan, it can be realistic. You guys start off 0-8. It can also be realistic. You start off 5-3. You never know how it works in the NFL. But, just basing it off their schedule, that's a tough opponent.
Yeah, and again, the way the Bears are going to be able to play this year, I thought they made a lot of improvements in a lot of areas. Obviously, there's no really superstar talent on this team, at least not yet.
Yeah.
But I think, they have a solid defense. They're going to be running the ball with Jordan Howard, a lot this year. He's going to be a workhorse this year for 16 games. So I think they're going to be competitive and close in a lot of games. So they might be able to, squeak by in a few of these close games, I think, this year. And we'll see how the injury situation holds out for them because obviously the injuries was a huge issue for them last year.
Yeah, and you can never predict injuries. And like you said, they were one of the most injured teams in football last year. And I think the biggest part, which will determine the Bears' season, is can the defense keep them in the game? Because honestly, like you said, you got Jordan Howard, who's a great running back, and you kind of want to be able to control the clock. You have a run first oriented offense. But if you're not in the game and if your defense is allowing all these points, it's kind of going to take Jordan Howard out of the game.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Again, I think that defense is ready to take a next step forward. They were borderline top 10 for most of the year last year until injuries kind of, took their toll on the team. But again, we'll see. I thought they got better, but it's a tough schedule to be sure. As a Bears fan, I'm being optimistic here with the 7-9 record. I think there's a few games here I think they could lose. There's also a few games I have them losing here that I think they could possibly win. So we'll see how it shakes out. It's definitely, in the NFL, you never know what's going to happen, though, because we've seen crazy upsets before, and we'll see how the season goes. It should be fun in the NFC North. I think it's going to be a very competitive division overall.
Yeah, I think all the games are going to be very close. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yep,
no doubt.
For sure. Well, thanks guys for watching.
Thank you.